everybody, welcome to our webinar. So today we're going to be talking about stairs, how to create them, what are the rules, and what intricate techniques we can really go through. This webinar is going to be pretty similar to that that we made on carpets, but we're going to try to make sure that everybody's going to be able to follow it. No floor plans are going to be needed. This is only going to be a technique thing, so you're going to be essentially getting the knowledge that will be sufficient for you to pretty much just create whatever I'm creating. So I'm hoping that everybody's going to be able to see that as well. So let's get started. I can see that there's a couple of you guys already tuning in, so it's really nice to see you guys. Who do we have today? We've got Pablo, Harun, Amjad, we've got Nish Hanant. Sorry for mispronouncing your name, guys. I am absolutely the worst when it comes to reading foreign names. I'm trying my best, but it's going to take a while. Regardless, welcome, hi, and let's get started. So today we're going to be mostly focusing on Francesca's scene, and this was a scene created during our training. What kind of training that was? Well, Vizacademy training. Because I know that a lot of you guys are coming in from just the YouTube page, I'm going to quickly introduce myself. My name is Mike and I'm a teacher for Vizacademy. Vizacademy is an online rendering school that can teach you how to create beautiful photorealistic visualizations just like this one in less than 7 weeks. And Francesca was one of our students, and I must say that she was actually a very ambitious person. So I wanted to make sure to use one of her scenes at some point, and I think this is the right point to do so. Francesca, hope that you're doing fine wherever you are right now. Regardless, guys, so I want to go over the very basic steps, but we're also going to not only the straight stairs, but we're going to be going through UL and obviously the spiral steps. But I'm going to also sprinkle in a couple of extra bonuses so everybody can enjoy them even more. You can see that Francesca did really well, although the resolution of the image doesn't allow us to see it, but this is an actual net. Long story short, she's pretty amazing. Well, like most of the images that you see during our streams, this scene was also hand created by our student based on some references that she was using. So a lot of detail that I love here. Where do we start? What do we want? First thing we need to know is what type of staircase you need, what kind of height you're going to be working with. So I'm assuming that we're going to be working with some kind of floor plans. As I said, at this time, we don't need any floor plans because that would be redundant at this point. We just want to learn how to create different variations of staircases. Hello from Brazil. Hello from Lebanon. Hey, this is Admir Shams from India. How much do you charge for a course? Can you please tell me? You can see all of the info on our training on our website. That's Vizacademy Co. UK. Currently, it's approximately £2,500, but depending on the group, the year, that can actually change due to the fact that, well, everything is evolving. Right now, we introduced a totally new thing to our training, as right now we are ATC, which means that we are Autodesk accredited training center, which means that our students no longer only get our certificate that was partially supported by Chaos, but now we pretty much give you 2 certificates, and one is Autodesk Professional. So that's pretty darn good. Hey, Shams, okay. If you could not spam, that will be highly appreciated. I'm just going to put that once because I can see that you're kind of spammy. So please remember that one question is enough. I do read all the chat. Avoid the spamming because that's the only thing, and profanities, that you can get banned from our chat. I went on the website and it showed advanced 100. So how much is it full payment for the course? Please tell me. So the £100 is pretty much the mini training that you can receive that will explain how modeling works in 3ds Max. And this is modeling ArchViz oriented. So no game design, no weird topology rules. It's just to get the job done and be able to deliver the images as fast as possible, so you don't have to go over the puzzle of retopologizing and unwrapping all the models before you can create anything. So as I said, that's pretty much it. Our training is 7 weeks, so it's approximately a lot. And at the same time, we provide you with full support during the whole duration of our training. So 7 days a week, so you're going to have access to our online support via chat, plus videos, webinars, all that comes in one price. So hello to you too, Mr. from Uzbekistan, or a lady. I really think this, like your work, really want to join. I really want you to join. So you're welcome to join at any moment you like. I always, well, even now, we're gathering our group for 13th of May. So if you want to join in, please remember that we're running out of spots. So we pretty much have 11 days before we get to the point where we start our training. But I'm thinking that we're going to be closing our recruitment a little bit earlier, because the group is getting full and we don't want to, this is not an airplane and we're not going to be overbooking any seats. Let's continue and let's talk about the basics. So the basic thing you can do to create any kind of staircase is get the measurements. So what I always recommend to anybody who wants to create a staircase is first get to know how big your staircase is going to be. Make sure that the metric system is set up correctly. Make sure that your snaps and grids are also correct. So we're just going to go through the usual. And now, since we know the height of our room is going to be approximately 3 meters, and I mean from floor 0 to the floor on the first floor, so it's going to be something to remember. Then we need the width, which is going to be pretty much the most important here. This is something that you're always going to be given, and most of the time when you will be working with your clients, they will give you the reference or some measurements. So don't worry that at the moment we don't have anything in particular, but it is good to at least know how we're going to be, let's say, approaching it. Spiral stairs are typically going to be spiral stairs are typically going to be marked on your CAD files, pretty much like this. You're going to have everything you need, and if you're going to be working with actual professionals, they will give you pretty much the plans for it. But most of the time, it's just going to be a slice of orange, and it's not going to be very informative. This kind of image is pretty much a luxury in most of the CAD files, so you're pretty much going to have some kind of, this area will have a staircase, and then you're going to see an orange bill. There's plenty of options when it comes to staircases, and most of them will be quite easy to follow. So let's just get started with the most simplest way of creating your staircases. So let's assume that this is going to be a straight staircase. So what you want to do first is make sure that you create some kind of plane. As I said, your floor plans are typically going to be informing you exactly how tall the staircase is going to be, but we can do the maths. Typical steps are going to be approximately 17 to 19 centimeters tall, so we can go to calculator and we can just do the calculation. So let's go for 300 and let's divide it by pretty much 18, because I think that's going to be a pretty bad number. So in this case, we're going to try to get the best out of it. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to have to stick to 17 steps or just cut it to 16, depending on what we really want to create. Okay, I need to silence my phone now. That's a new thing for me now, because I am going to be forced to silence two phones as I'm switching in between two of them. So, hi Alex, try to find your academy today and in the Autodesk partner later, but I couldn't. Are you not included in the search list for, or are you not considered as a training center? I'm Mike, so you might have had a little bit of an issue finding us there because this is something new. So we're basically on the list for approximately 2 weeks. So this is why the info might not have been yet updated, but we are officially ATC and we've got the certificate to prove it. So yes, we are. And now, also, if any of you will be in Milano, this in a couple of days, there's an Autodesk conference, so I'm going to be attending it as if you're interested in stuff like this. Also, thank you very much for this question. It actually kind of gave me a bit of, let's say, well, it got me thinking, I need to check why we're not yet on that list, but everything is definitely on the right side. I'm aware of your website, just try to find you through the partner locator. That makes sense, so that pretty much is it. So, good teacher, thank you. Okay, let's get to the point. Now, width, we take 0. Here, we're going to be splitting this into 17 steps. So we're going to be dividing this by 16. And this is where the fun begins because all we need to do is add a 3x3 or 2x2 modifier. In some cases, if your object is going to be perfectly flat, 3ds Max may actually treat it in a weird way, and it's not going to allow you to grab or manipulate a simple plane. It's just that weird. Alright, go ahead and ask that question. So now if we've got our staircase, we're going to be able to decide how tall the step is supposed to be. And that's going to be a thing in a second. So what we want to do is convert this object into a low poly now. Select all the edges that are pretty much along the way. So ring that. And we're going to be going for just the simplest possible option, and that is split. Once we split all of them, we can still keep our selection, and now we're going to go for polygon, and in polygon, we're going to be pretty much scaling everything down. This gives us the ability to pretty much create the staircases of our dreams. So it's going to be on the easiest staircase ever. So this is just us getting started. Now, what you can see is that by splitting the elements, I've got, and not deselecting, I still have my edges selected, so I can use them. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in a second. I want to deselect this one because now you can see that all of the edges are on the same side. So all I need to do is simply make sure that those lines are going to be perfectly aligned, and we've got it. So now we can weld it. I kind of wish that this staircase was exactly 100 degrees rotated, so I can just force it by going to Effect Pivot Only and get it done this way, because it's just going to allow me to align the elements a little bit better. This also opens up a little bit of a problem, because if I'm going to go to the left view, now not everything, wait a second, I didn't really do a very good job scaling it down. So let's make sure to click on Make Planner, Z. Okay, for some reason, I expected you to work a little bit differently, Mr. 3ds Max, but that must have been just me. Let's go ahead and rotate it again. Now it should be perfectly flat, and it is. So once we got it sorted, we're going to see that our staircase is pretty much done, and it's in a perfect position. It reaches every element, and we're done. So we're done? Not yet. I mean, we could continue with this staircase and make it a little bit more complicated. So how about we flip the normals, make sure to actually use this part that we fought for so hard, and we're going to be using it in a second. Hello, I'm from India. Hello. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I want to know, is this video gonna be up once we're done with the live? Yes, it is going to be online, and you're going to be able to find it on our YouTube channel in the live section of our webinars. There's plenty, approximately Now we're getting closer to almost 60 webinars that were created on the sole topic of 3ds Max. Some of them are interiors, some of them are exteriors, and some of them are just interesting topics. So feel free to watch. Now, how can we change the color of the material in Corona Renderer? Well, that is pretty simple question. So to do that, all you need to do is first of all create the material in Corona. And to do so, you can either go to the Corona tab, or you can just go ahead and make sure to select the Corona, go to Corona Physical, and in Corona Physical Materials, we're going to be able to grab just that. And now you can see that we are going to be able to change the color like this. Remember that if your color is going to be already preoccupied by some kind of map, and in this case, it might be anything, and I mean like anything. So general, let's go for, I don't know, dent, and no operation is going to be able to change the color of this material because our maps and textures do take priority in Corona and other materials. So please remember that this is going to have an impact. I hope that this is enough. Hello, Niall, how are you? Interesting topic. I used to make real staircases for around. What? No way. No way. That's so cool. I kind of need a staircase in my house, so I'm going to try to reach out if you're still in the business. Okay, so what we can do here is now either try to just follow up on whatever model we've got, or we can just try to extrude everything downwards. And there are two options, as always, because either we're going to be extruding this and we're going to get a pretty much model like this, or we can just create a border. Or we can just create a border and go downstairs. And it also depends on what we want to create. Is this staircase going to be editable? Are we going to do anything with it and further? Because for me, if it's going to be just a full flight of stairs and we're going to be doing pretty much nothing with it, what I would be really suggesting you to do is save a little bit of your sanity, collapse it all, and be done with it. Because at this point, this is going to be a perfect solution for you. No lines are intersecting and pretty much everything is done. We don't need to do anything further. But if you're going to be continuing modeling this object, you might actually consider doing the topology a little bit better. So this is pretty much our standard staircase, how to create it, if you're going to need some kind of customization to it, because you obviously know that in 3ds Max, and beginners might not know it, we've got options that will allow us to create our own staircases, and there are 4 options that we can explore. First of all, we've got our straight stair. So whatever we did right now, we can do faster and easier, but to be honest, it is not always going to be that perfect, because to be honest, I am yet to understand how it works. I mean, I do understand it, but it's a little bit tricky at times, and I quite frankly hate it. So this opens up plenty of options that we can explore, and today I want to talk a little bit about it, but I want to pretty much zoom through this option and go for something more exciting that everybody's going to be able to explore on their own, especially considering the scene that was created by Francesca. So if you look at this staircase, it's, well, a little bit custom. It has a lot of cool stuff in it, and most importantly, it has good textures. So we want to also be able to create the net just like she did. So let's get into it. Hello from Uzbekistan. Let's go, bro. Thank you. I don't understand what you said, but I'm just going to say thank you. Now, this staircase is more complicated, so we're going to be building towards something like this. Hi Asim, how are you? And now we can also just go back to our scene and explore what we've got. First thing you want to know is that we've got a lot of options here. So closed, this pretty much would save us a ton of time if we weren't modeling, or just box. Look at that, this is even easier. How to add winders in stairs. We can talk about it in a second. So we're going to be obviously going through those topics, so you don't have to really be that afraid. So you mean the 45 degrees type, or something something more complicated? Because the technique that I shown you at the very beginning pretty much covers it. Because if you're going to want to have some winders, what you can also do is pretty stupid, but it works. So we can actually use different modifiers to cut our models, and you can see that it's pretty much going to be easy peasy. But this is not the case. We're going to get to it in a second. Also good, also good. No, I want to ask that how can we change the color of Cosmo material in Corona renderer? Cosmos material, well, it's going to actually require you to open up the selected material that you're interested in and edit it. There's no special thing in it. I mean, what could be the problem in this case? Because Cosmos materials are just materials, so there's no special thing in it. So 3D planar mapping, perfect. Now, because we can just drag and drop those into the material editor, what you can see is that this is a bit more complicated. So you're going to have to work with those textures, color correct them, and pretty much that's going to allow you to get different colors. But today we're going to be focusing on staircases, not materials. Is Vizacademy based in UK or Ukraine? I believe I've seen tours from here in another channel. We've got few of our offices. One is in Poland, one is in Germany, one is in UK. The first of all was the one in Poland, but you might have seen some Ukrainian names because one of the founders of Vizacademy is actually Ukrainian. So greetings to you too, Eduardo. Which version of 3ds Max is your favorite? I wouldn't say that I've got something like favorite version of 3ds Max. My current favorite is 2024 because 2025 actually brings nothing to the table. It's the updates there were so insignificant that I just refused to install it. So we've got three options for our stairs. We've got handrails, we've got options of that, paths that are also very helpful when you will be creating additional objects that you will be connecting to your stairs. For example, some kind of custom railings or whatever. So this stair path is actually a very powerful element of your staircase if you're going to be using this default option to begin with. Now we can also go for the layout, so it's just the width and height, so pretty much standard stuff and nothing that needs explanation. I love the fact that we can just go for overall height and be done with any problems whatsoever, but the problem arises because this object is 300 and this is not, and I kind of find it funny that this staircase is not exactly what I needed. It just skips one step, and yeah, let's go. Now we can actually mitigate that by lowering the, let's say, making sure the overall height is going to remain the same, and we can just add a couple of more steps, and then if we know exactly what number we need, we can just try to lock the size and then R and just add the value that we were interested in, and that's going to pretty much fix it, because you can see now that my steps or my staircase is exactly what I needed, but I needed to make sure that I'm going to have 16 instead of 17 steps before I've added that extra. So any value in 3ds Max that you're going to add R to before typing in is going to be added to whatever you're working with. So for example, here R50 is going to make the stairs a little bit longer because you can see how it works. So it's a cool thing to know. Now, which version of 3ds Max? Thanks for the tutorials. You're welcome. On the empty viewport, is it easy to make a stairs? How to place it on a floor plan that I should connect it to the floor slab? Well, it's even easier at that point because if you're going to have a floor plan, you're going to have some kind of staircase already predefined. So this means that all you need to do is first start with the staircase, then go with its width. Okay, I misclicked. So start with the staircase, go with its width, and go up. That's it. That's how you do the stairs if you've got some kind of floor plans. If you do have only image floor plans, you can just trace the lines before you create your staircase, and that's it. Okay, so let's continue. Here, what we're going to be also able to see is that we've got mapping coordinates, which can be helpful, but then it's carriage, which is locked because that's for different type of stairs. If you're going to be using spiral stairs or stairs that actually allow us to have the carriage, we're going to be going for that. I like to kind of mix it in because if you add the carriage stairs and pretty much make them super deep, you get the life hack of getting the staircase like this, and you already have the ability to work with different types of steps because you already have all of the planks on the top. What is also going to be cool is that we can work with the depth of our thickness, and we can change the depth. So it's a win-win scenario again because we can pretty much just now select the individual elements and continue editing this part if we want to. So I guess this is somewhat of a life hack for your staircases. Railings, there's nothing really special to them. It's just railings, so that's it. Stingers, that's another thing that's only open for closed and spiral stairs, so this is nothing to really go through, but if we want to have some kind of extras, for example the L-shaped stairs, that's again going to be best to be done with the lines, because once you have a line in your scene, you're pretty much going to be able to create something like this, and now, well, yeah, that we've got some kind of L and we want this to be 3 meters. So again, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing. We're going to be starting with our shape, a little bit of length, okay, and we go up, got it. So now we need to make sure that the width goes all the way. As you noticed, it goes on over the outer line, so we're always going to be building our staircases in the side of our shape, or let's say as long as the L goes the way we want. So what we want here is to add a little bit of width, and this is how it's going to grow. And now all we need to do is just decide what we want with the staircase angle. Pretty much standard stuff that you would essentially expect out of staircase, but it gives us those options, and because it's actually smart, it's going to allow you not to die on the staircase because there's a area where you can just lay semi-dead when you're going to be falling off your stairs. So that's always going to be something very helpful. On empty viewport, okay. Subscribe, thank you. Sir, I joined the course. Do I have to later pay more or buy the materials required for interior design work like chair, bed, furnishing, etc.? So during our training, we try to provide our students with everything they need. So for the whole duration of the training, it's designed in such a way that once you spend money with us, you don't have to spend any more money on any aspect of our training. The only, let's say, exception is the Corona renderer. Beforehand, it had 45 days long trial, but right now this is no longer the case. So after 30 days, you're going to be able to buy a Corona renderer with a huge discount that is only given to accredited schools like us, like ours. So you're going to be able to purchase 1-year license at a price of 8 or 9% of a regular price. So again, I would say it's a bargain in that case. Mike, have you ever used a watercolor script, and can you recommend it to purchase? I actually haven't used it, but we can test it. We can just see what it is, and let's see. 3ds Max and random watercolor is watercolor Pro and watercolor 3ds Max script. So what does it do? Random watercolors, okay, that's it. Is this watercolor Pro? I guess I wouldn't find too many applications for this software. I mean, it's definitely helpful for animation, for masking, and stuff like that. But I'm not a big fan of a lot of post production. So, is it useful? Definitely. Do I use it? No. So I wouldn't be recommending it, not because it's bad, because I don't think it probably does exactly what it's supposed to, but it's just not something I need at the moment. But potentially sometimes it's actually something I would use. Sir, what can I do if the sofa gets cut off when I set the camera angle? So Arjun, try to use something called camera clipping. So you either can go to your camera settings and try to not cut the sofa and just go for the environment clipping and try to move your camera further back, and this way your camera is going to be allowed to look even through the walls, which is pretty cool. So you no longer will be constrained because now we can put our camera inside of the wall. So potentially you're going to be able to set your camera in such a way that your sofa, that probably would be somewhere around this area, let's say, is no longer going to be cut because the viewing spot starts here. So your camera is going to be safe, and without it you would have a bit of a problem because, well, you're at a weird angle, so you're going to be cutting your camera, your sofa out of the frame. And so hope this helps. And now on empty viewport, yes, on empty, sir, okay. While rendering video, how much do you earn per month? So it depends, because it depends on the projects and depends on the whole company, and this is something that I only disclose to my students. So this is something that is not just the sum of per month, because that would not be really that good. I like to calculate annually because 1 month can be a little bit bad, another one can be good, and you need to get some kind of, let's say, medium. So I'm just going to say that I do not. I have no financial problems when working with 3D and running my own company. Even when I was freelancing, my friends that were working in corporations, they didn't. I did out earn them, but at the same time, I must give you a fair warning that 3D is not just walk in the park, and sometimes it can actually require you to do a little bit longer hours. So you win some, you lose some, but I typically out earn typical salaries of my corporate friends. So that's where we're going to leave this. Thank you, love from India. Thank you too. Quick suggestion on placing camera in narrow, tight space. That's exactly what I just did. Camera clipping in crew ball. That's going to be the best thing you can do, and depending on how tight the area is, again, we're going to go back a little bit with so we can see the camera. If your camera or the room is pretty much well, a wagon, you can see that it's going to be a boss or something like this. What you're going to be setting up is your camera, your camera needs to be placed a little bit further back, and the trick is to make sure that you're going to have enough area to see everything, because if you're just going to be putting it here, you're going to be missing out on a lot of your image. And the trick is to make sure that you're going to be working with slightly narrower lens than you would normally. So depending on the room, the size, the shot, there's no one solution, obviously. So you're going to be setting this to something around 55, moving it so that your camera view starts slightly further back. And whenever we're going to be looking at our objects, we want to just allow this to start somewhere outside the wall. So in this case, we're going to be able to see every piece of furniture in our shot, and it's not going to be all distorted, because otherwise what normally you would have to do is move the camera towards this area, make sure that the focal is going to be slightly wider, and that's going to give you a very distorted room. But I recommend you to look at the references that you are aiming at, and that way you're going to be able to decide whether you need any of that or not. Now we're going to be doing the spiral stairs. So spiral stairs are super duper easy, and again, it's all going to come down to what you need and how many steps do you want. You can do it by either creating a cylinder or cylindrical object and just deciding how many steps you want, and then following a very similar process as we did here. So the idea would be that you're going to be creating a spiral step based on that, but mostly that's going to be array. So what we can do is just go for sides. Let's go for 24. And now we're going to be going for cap segments 1. So we're going to introduce a little bit of geometry, convert this object to a double poly, and now I'm going to be grabbing one of the steps, Control I, and this is going to be pretty much the easiest part ever. So we go to shell. I'm cutting corners here, guys, so don't think that, please do not assume that this is the only part of stair creation. But now we're going to be going for 24 steps, for example, no on X, and now all we need to do is go to transformations, and our rotation is going to play the biggest role, because if we're just going to go for world rotation, that's not going to be working. Incremental, that's what you want. And now we've got our staircase, and we only need to go for offset or spacing in centimeters. That's going to be the best thing you can do, because offset in centimeters is going to be pretty much the best of all. So this is how we can start our staircase if it's going to be circular, and it's just the easiest and fastest way of setting up your stairs, and it leaves you with the highest degree of possible manipulation. But this is also not necessarily the best way of doing it. So let's actually get back to our stairs that we all did explore a second ago. So the staircases that we have here in 3ds Max are also going to be quite cool, closed, and we've got boxes. All of that is cool. But what I don't like here is that if we're going to have a few revs, you're going to see that yes, this looks good, but at some point we're going to be introducing more steps, more stairs, and everything is going to be bigger, greater. But in the end, we're going to be just dealing with a little bit wonky geometry. You can see that all of that geometry is starting to look bad, and I want a little bit more finesse. I want this to be nice and smooth, although we do have a lot of cool options to create a staircase, carriage, and all that. So center pole, cool. Stingers, perfect. But they do have a minus side here. You can see that they're also geometrically very primitive. So this will force us to add some modifiers on top of it. But we can explore what we can do in a second. Stingers, let's make the depth a little bit bigger so it actually looks like a staircase. It feels like one, and this can be also used as the railing. But as I said, we're going to have a bit of bad geometry. One of the ways of fixing it that may work only on very primitive staircases is adding turbo smooth per smoothing groups. And you can see that in this case, no way. We can try adding some kind of weird extra topology, geometry, but we're never going to get any kind of good results, because this always will be a little bit too yeah, it's going to be a demanding, very demanding option for us to explore. So that's why I don't use this too much, and Francesca, quite frankly, didn't as well. So let's explore what we can do to create a staircase as beautiful as this one. So first thing we're going to be doing is obviously revisiting the model that we've created at the very start. I'm going to be deleting all of those back elements because now those are no longer needed. Potentially what we can do is add the bend modifier and just go full on it. We're going to go for 360 in x-axis or y-axis, and we pretty much got it, right? So move it away, and again, got it. Looks good, feels good, but is it good? Well, potentially. Francesca's staircase, again, that was something extra. So let's just create something extra, shall we? Make video about more models. What type of models are you interested in? 45 degrees winders. So in that case, I would still go for the L and U method and just skip one step and just add it manually with a cut once I convert this object into a double poly, as that would be the fastest way of creating a dose at 45 degrees Urdu. Sir, what I mean is to say is that the sofa is stuck on the wall, or is it being cut again? There is no solution in the render. Sir, please can you send me my render? Please tell me where to send it. Arjun, I think you can just try emailing it to our main inbox. That's info@vizacademy.co.uk. I might be able to open it if you're going to be fast, but I don't promise that I'm going to do that. That's just that. Hey Jay, how are you? Corona is the best or V-Ray? In my case, I would say that Corona is better than V-Ray. Both have a lot to offer, but as far as I know, Corona has a little bit easier learning curve, and potentially it's just more artist friendly. I know that it sounds a little bit cheesy, but if you do think that your craft is more important than being an engineer in 3D, I kind of think that you should go for Corona. If you want to have all the numbers in your head and you want to have a PhD in physics before you render something, go for V-Ray. That's pretty much how I see it. So Corona is easy. It is. Nice to know. How to add a stair nosing. Stair nosing is something that you always have to go for custom, because that's going to be typically, let's say, drawn on some kind of floor plan or stairs. Okay. If you're going to be adding that, you're going to see that you're going to have to add that extra detail. And we already explored it with our extra, with our extra detail when I was filling in the custom, or let's say the default steps with the planks on top of it. So what you would have to do is just select that part and move it slightly forward, all of the elements in the model. But that might be a bit problematic if we're going to be dealing with some kind of staircase that's going to be circular or weird. But I'm going to show you one solution to rule them all. So first thing we need to see in this staircase is that it ends up with a little bit of a longer carriage, and that's a very important aspect of this model, and we cannot really ignore that because it's going to play a role in our model as well. So what we want to do is also add that element in, but in a second. Since we've got this staircase, let's just start editing it further. From this state now on, I'm going to be just adding the most primitive elements to my staircase. Depending on what I want to do, I'm either going to be adding the stingers or I'm going to be adding some kind of carriage. I kind of feel like building this with carriage, so I'm going to just build it here. Now convert this part to a double poly, and we want to make sure that our plane that's here is going to be shifting and moving towards the top of our staircase, so pretty much somewhere around here. We don't have to be super precise with it, but remember that typically precision is going to pay off in the long run. But if you're going to be, just like me, lazy, you're going to be able to also do this, get away with it, and never look back, because both options are going to pretty much be interchangeable. So now we delete those elements, especially the top one, and also the back of our staircase. So we pretty much just created some kind of carriage for our steps. And again, at this point, we want to decide whether we want the carriage or not. All up to you. To give this more flexibility, you know what, let's just delete the bottom and treat this as a railing and stingers. So we're going to do this, move that forward, and we've got a copy. Now we need to make sure that those railings are going to go slightly higher, so we're actually will be able to grab something when walking on those steps. And here we're just going to go for the most basic options possible. First thing we want to do is add shell modifier to both objects. Here you can see that by building a little bit of thickness, we're going to be able to adjust whatever we want. So if we want to make those a little bit higher or move them slightly different position, it's allowed. But in this case, I'm just going to move both up and we're done. Here we pretty much got the perfect scenario, so it's pretty much going to be, again, the easiest. How do we upload work files? Jamal, what do you mean? Hi, sir, how are you? Could you check my interior scene, please? I mean, Jay, I can, but it all depends on the time. So, Jay, I will be checking your scene probably this evening if you're the Jay I'm thinking of. So yes, I will be doing that before the end of our training. So right now, if I recall correctly, Jay is one of the Jays in my group that's currently ongoing, and I am overdue to check that scene that was sent to me. So if you're that Jay, yes, I will be checking your scene soon. And now I want to make sure that my staircase, yes, I remember about you. So you're on my agenda all the time. So I won't let you go empty-handed. That's for sure. So now let's go for chamfer. We're opening this part up. And I want to make sure that there's going to be a bit of this extra. So let's open this up, reverse it, and we're pretty much almost done with most of the modeling, but we're going to be making some amendments in a second. This is going to allow us to get some railings, to put some glass in our staircase, whatever you want. We got you covered. Now, we want to also make sure that we're not going to be drowning in some kind of weird details, right? So let's just go ahead and add a little bit of push modifier. So we're going to be able to adjust the position of those elements. So pretty much like that. And now I can add another shell modifier. So it's going to have a little bit of thickness, but the opposite way. 0, and we've got a little bit of thickness. I have another interior. So Jay, DM me right after this webinar. We can go over your scene step by step if you want to. So here we're going to go to convert to Adobe Poly, and we're pretty much done with most of the modeling. I remember that Francesca's staircase had a net. I just realized that. So yeah, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing something else, but we're staying the way we are. So now the trick comes in, because we want to convert this object to Adobe Poly. We want to attach those elements together, and we're going to be pretty much selecting all of the edges that we've got right now, and we're going to be adding some chamfers. The chamfers aren't supposed to be very big. We want them to be just, there. But it's good to have a quad chamfer, a little bit bigger one, and we want this to just not have any kind of sharpness. Softness. We're going to be adding a lot of sharpness here. So next we want to make sure to also add gajillion billions of connections along our staircase. So let's just count gajillion, and now we're going for the billion. Okay, pretty much that's enough for me, but let's just, for the good measure, let's give it 25. We're going to do the same for the parts on the top, but those parts are going to be getting a little bit different treatment because we don't need as many. So we're just going to go for just a quarter of that. And how much is it? I think that's pretty much somewhere around 6 because maths. So let's go for 6. Okay. Now we've got quite a lot of geometry, but why did we need it? Because that makes no sense. Let's just create a copy real quick, do an object, And now, since this copy is already pretty much pre-prepared, I can mess it up a little bit before we get into the next topic. So if I'm now going to be adding a bend modifier to this object, what you're going to notice is that it doesn't work, because the bend, even though it tries its best just to make sense out of it, it's just not getting enough geometry. But if I'm going to leave a couple of connections along the way for, well, as I said, a gajillion, you're going to see that it's no longer as bad as it was. I mean, we still need a lot of it, but at least we can get some smoothness. And this is another thing that we didn't or weren't able to get from a typical staircase that we would be creating just using the default options in 3ds Max. So this is going to be, again, a superior way of doing things. So at this point, we kind of need the element that I mentioned beforehand, the flat part, but that's going to be really the last element we are going to be doing. So attach this element, and because we're going to be using Turbo Smooth on all of the stairs, you're also going to be asked to add the chamfers on the corners here. If you want to be super duper precise, you can add a little bit of thickness to the steps, but I avoid it, especially if I've got stingers, because who's going to count if it's thick or not? Sir, I have sent the render. Can you see? I kind of could see, but I do not promise that we're going to be spending a lot of time on it. I'm sorry, but I haven't received anything yet from you. So, and you're not in spam. We actually don't use spam, but just making sure that I'm not. Nope, sorry. Nope, not getting it at the moment. So we're going to wait for it, but let me know what is, now, let's not disclose your personal email on stream. Okay, so what I want to do now is affect pivot only of this object, make sure that the pivot of this object is exactly where the staircase is, and to make it easier, we can pull it on the left side or right side, depending on what we will be doing, but I want to pull it into the middle because I want to have a little bit more flexibility. And now, with that out of the way, we're going to be able to add the bend modifier as we want it on x-axis, and we're just going to be creating a butterfly. So it was a y-axis for this model all the time. Now we're going to be able to flip it, and if we want to, we can now just move the gizmo of our object, and that's it. But if we're going to have some additional polygons or geometry for our object, we can also try to do it differently, because now I can select those parts here, deselect. I'm just creating this part, so it's going to be a little bit more interesting, and you can now see it looks weird, but we can limit the effect, and we can go for the upper limit and start just adding a little bit of this to our object up until we reach the point where we start breaking the model. So pretty much that's going to allow us to get the best staircases ever, because again, it allows us to get a pretty decent level of detail, really smooth transition, and again, with just a flat part that exists somewhere in our model, this is not going to be a problem. And again, if the geometry that we're working with doesn't necessarily look good in your render, because again, Francesca's work was amazing, let's go for Turbo Smooth, and in here we can just play around with as many iterations as we want, because now this model is going to be perfectly smooth and it's just going to be perfect. We have nothing against it, but your staircase might actually require a bit more of, let's say, adventurous approach. So what if your staircase is supposed to be a zigzag? What if? So let's go back a couple of steps. Yeah, a couple of steps. We've got it. Now, we're here, and we need to make sure that our model is going to be, well, adventure ready. So what we can do is you know what? To be adventurous, we kind of could make this a little bit longer by connecting another one into the stock, but nah, let's just keep it the way it is. You know what? Let's try it. Since we're live, why not? Okay. Still nothing new on the email part. So are you sure you've sent it to info@Vizacademy? Because if you haven't, this is your last chance. So please make sure to just send it. Or did you send it on some via some other media? Let me know so I can answer that. Okay. How to create a floating U-type staircase? Any easy method? Well, that would be pretty much the easiest would be to use the default option. But to be honest, the U shape is typically going to be a straight staircase, some space, straight staircase, some space, and so on. So it's best to just create a staircase, connect to it, create the area, and so on. Because that way you're going to be pretty much able to move those elements away, and we're done. So convert to a poly and not mesh, poly. I'm just trying to prepare my staircase for the adventure that we're preparing it for. So now we're pretty much done, but I want the adventurous line to be like this, and let's give it that kind of treatment, and now we're going to be doing this and this and that. Okay, I know that this is a little bit far-fetched, and this is way too sharp turn for a staircase, because that's going to be a bad thing to do. So whenever you want to add your staircase to some kind of shape, or you want to create some kind of very unique arch or whatever, fancy people stuff, we can actually do it by first of all going for normalize spline. Normalization of your spline is super important, because now I've got so many knots that I can actually decide how, let's say, detailed my shape is going to be. You typically want to keep it in a regular value, because this is the beziers between your objects are going between your vertices are going to define what part of the model is going to go where. Now, what we can do is just simply go to platform as a modifier, but not the world scale modifier. As I DM'd, I tried DMing people from Autodesk to, well, pretty much ask them to explain me what the world scale modifier means if it really doesn't react to any world values in, for example, hair and fur, why hair and fur is a world scale modifier. And I quote, the answer from Autodesk support, their official guys, where it was, I don't know. yeah, so that's just Autodesk, $1 billion company. Now we've got our path to form, right? And this looks awful. So we need to change this to X or Y axis, and in my case, it's going to be Y axis. We need to make sure that the amount is set on rotation to 90, and we're pretty sure that it's supposed to be different to 70 actually. And now we're allowing our stairs to go on that adventure. We can flip it if we want this to be going other way around. And since we started our pivot here, it means that 0 is going to be at the very beginning of our spline. So we want to put in 100. And this means that it goes all the way. We can pretty much just allow it to go through if we want to. Kind of Harry Potter, right? Now, let's auto stretch this, and we're done. We're pretty much allowing our staircase to go on the adventure as we want it. If we don't normalize spline, in the staircase is not going to blow up, but you can see that some of the elements are going to be shifting differently, and they're not. Those elements are not going to be as refined as they were, as the beziers are going to be taking care of the gravity in the object. So normalizing the spline is going to ensure that the object is going to have a little bit better flow in it. So we can delete this part, that part, and we're just done building our perfect staircase that has no problem whatsoever. But Mike, I want the staircase to be a little bit thicker. What do I do? I got you. Let's go to editable poly again, turn off the path deform, add the 2x2 modifier beforehand, and now this is going to be a life hack for all of you with multiple modifiers added. We can just go for path deform, and at any moment we can go back to the grid and just make this a little bit thicker or thinner if we want to. But remember that this is going to be a bit of a two-edged sword, because if we're not going to be redefining our percentage, it might actually get us in some trouble. So you want to be very cautious with that. So it might require a few extra steps along the way. So I guess we covered pretty much all you need to know about staircases. There's another way of working with your staircases by going to the standard stairs and just creating any kind of regular staircases. Okay, now you're not going to be able to bend it for the love of God. You're not going to be able to. You can see that this bends and breaks at the same time, a y-axis, and it just looks awful, right? So not much we can do with it. Or can we? Because if we actually change this staircase into a model that we can work with, for example, by adding a subdivide modifier and making sure that the value is going to be somewhat low, so 15 in my case, or even 5 to have a super smooth model, we can actually go for the bend again and keep it really nice and really smooth, because this modifier, it creates a very nice geometry on your object, and as long as it's going to have enough density, the model is not going to be crunching, so it's going to really look nice. But if we're not going to have enough, you're going to have some of those very bad looking elements. So it's best to make sure the subdivisions are going to be added to a model that actually has enough geometry. I just made a mistake and made this 10 times too small, so it's going to take a while before 3ds Max updates everything for our amusement. So I guess we can pretty much just end it here with my super dense model that you want to avoid. Always remember that subdivide modifier should be added as a subdivide modifier, not world scale modifier subdivide, because world scale modifier is for dum-dums. And in that case, I think we can end it here. Remember guys, that if you want to take part in our course, you can visit Vizacademy Co. UK to sign up today. Our May signups are pretty much done, but we still have a couple of spots ready for you, so don't miss out and make sure to grab that last or one of the last spots for the May group that starts on 13th of May. And yes, that's a lucky number because it's Monday, so in that case we're going to be able to see each other in less than 2 weeks that way, because why not? It's always something that looks nice in our well, always looks nice. By the way, I think I should basically show you a couple of works by our students, and not just Francesca's work, because that's going to be helpful. Oh, I've got some announcements for you guys. So I need to I'm going to hold you for a couple of minutes extra. So let's read the chat for a second. Hello from Macedonia. Hello to you too, Ivana. Nice to have you. How do you? Okay. I'm very fine, Krishna. Thank you. How do you check my interview scene, please? Yes. Are you ready? Are we already finishing the webinar? Yes. This one is going to be slightly, let's say shorter than usual. I know that I usually take approximately 2 hours, but this one was just to show you a couple of methods of creating staircases. Staircases aren't really that divine and that tricky, so I wanted to show you the best methods of doing this. And right now I'm zooming through some of the images created by our students during the training. So if you feel that you're not going to be up for the task because you feel like I don't know 3ds Max and I know nothing about 3D, don't worry, you will do great. Why? Because almost every image that I'm showing you right now was created by somebody who started from zero. So more than 70% right now of our students start with no knowledge or very basic knowledge. Like I once heard the name of 3ds Max in the college type of basics. So this was created by students just like you, so people that want to improve, people that want to change something in their lives. click like. Oh yeah, click like and subscribe, guys. Last thing that I wanted to really talk about today, before I go to let's say a next endeavor, is that 3D awards are still open. So that means that in 10 days, 8 hours, 53 minutes and 55 seconds, I'm going to be tasked with some of the splendid people here, Agnieszka, Rick, and Ander, to go through your work and give you reviews. So 3D Awards is a pretty big deal in the architectural world because this is pretty much the CG architect, and I bet you heard about them. So CG Awards is just their way of giving you a little bit extra options on how to get recognized, how to get your work more celebrated, and pretty much get a bit more confidence. So read through these 3D awards. 10 days is more than enough to prepare something extraordinary, and you can also be part of the journey that we're all taking. So yes, CG Awards, and don't forget to like and subscribe and visit Vizacademy Co. UK to get more info on our training and grab a few freebies from that website. Once again, going through our chat. Join, it's worth it. You see, I still owe Jay to go through his scene to help him finish every aspect of his interior, and he's still vouching for us. So that is something, and I thank you really. Well, goodbye, Mike. It's been nice. Thank you very much. I would like to be able to read your name, but I am unable to read Cyrillic. But I will read it eventually, because that's another element on my list. I want to learn how to read Cyrillic, because a lot of people from Russia, Ukraine, Belarusians, they visit our streams, and I kind of want to be able to read a little bit of what they're saying. So this is it for today. Thank you very much for your attention. For the third time, please like and subscribe. And guys, another thing that I wanted to just ask, this is a very last thing. Once the video is up in your recommended, if there's a possibility, leave a comment. Whatever comment it is, it's going to help us. Even if you hate me, that's going to help, because we're soon reaching 100,000 subscribers, and I want to kind of get a bit more traction in our channel, because I'm still soon going to have a silver button behind me, which is super cool. And this is it for today. Thank you once again, and see you in a week. We're going to have another webinar on another interesting topic. Bye bye, guys.